Thank you, John. I'd like to start by thanking everyone involved in the Labour English Network, not only for putting on this conference and for giving me the opportunity to speak today, but for everything you're doing to help start this vitally important conversation about the way our cities, regions, and local communities should be governed and represented across England. Because it's now clearer than ever that we need a root and branch overhaul of how our country is run. The negative consequences of our current system of governance have been brewing for some time. We've all felt it. The way inequalities in our society have been getting worse, not better. The one-size-fits-all policies dictated from Westminster, which have too often failed to address the different challenges facing communities. The level of disengagement and feeling of detachment from the political and democratic process in Westminster, and the increasing number of people who feel left behind and are looking for something or someone to blame, contributing to the worrying rise of nationalist populism. But it's the COVID-19 pandemic that's truly laid bare the problems with our broken system, exposing deep flaws that can no longer be ignored. Throughout the pandemic, the Westminster government, which was already too stretched from trying to do too much from the centre, has simply become overwhelmed on many occasions. Political leaders at all levels and from all parts of our country who could and should have been close partners in the fight against COVID-19 have been treated with suspicion and outright hostility. This has been extremely frustrating for me, as well as many other local and regional government leaders across the country. As a result, not only have avoidable mistakes been made, but opportunities to do things better at a local level have been missed. And that's why one of the most crucial lessons we must learn from this terrible pandemic is that the way the Westminster system of government is structured is simply not fit for purpose, and that further devolution must be the future, not this broken national model. In London, I've seen firsthand how strong local political leadership can be a great force for good. The institution of the London Mayor is now over 2 decades old. Although the Mayor of London has far less power and resources than mayors across Europe and America, it's proven to be a great success. It's helped us to thrive. It's galvanised different interests, businesses, and communities behind a shared vision for a more prosperous, greener, and fairer city. In the last 5 years, I'm proud of what we've managed to achieve in London with Labour in power. From starting to build a record number of council homes to reducing toxic air pollution by more than a third, from delivering a 5-fold increase in the length of protected cycle lanes to the rolling out of a new Young Londoners Fund to give those at risk of getting caught up in crime new opportunities to make the most of their lives. Yet, despite all this progress, it's clear that our powers and resources need to be vastly expanded. Take one of the biggest problems as an example, the lack of fiscal devolution. In London, we depend on national government for over 2/3 of revenue, whereas in Paris, it's less than a fifth, in New York, it's a quarter, and in Tokyo, it's only 6%. This matters because taxes designed in Whitehall for the whole country often don't work for London. And the same is true for other cities and regions across England. If we were handed the necessary powers and resources, I know we could redesign and reconfigure them in a much, much better way. And this brings me to the crux of the argument for further devolution. It's that if towns, cities, and regions are given the right tools, we can simply do things better. We can lead the charge in solving some of the most important and biggest challenges we face, because We're more attuned to the concerns of local citizens. We're best placed to create the right environment for good growth in our areas, linking up new housing with transport, business hubs and green spaces to create thriving communities. And we understand the needs of local businesses so that we can skill up our young people for the jobs of tomorrow, ensuring that no one is left behind. Across England, we have a very complex mix of unique local geographies with varying cultures, traditions, and identities. It can't be in the interest of anyone to try to impose a one-size-fits-all policy from Whitehall that goes against the grain of these differences, nor should we continue trying. Instead, the richness of our differences and diversity should be embraced, freeing areas to run themselves in ways appropriate for their local circumstances. Let me end by saying this. Now is clearly the time to reset the devolution agenda. So let's get local buy-in for the changes we need to see. Let's lead the debate within the Labour Party, and let's ensure that under the next Labour government, cities and regions across England are finally given the tools to allow us to unlock social and economic progress whilst ensuring it's available to everyone. Thank you.